Oh, no, an hour later, like 5:30 or so, and he was on Zoom with his principal, so was not able to join us, so he'll join us here momentarily, the new athletics coordinator at Ellison High School and head football coach as well. He was at Odessa High. He's been at Lubbock Estacado. He will join us here momentarily. And then in the 5 o'clock hour, early on in the 5 o'clock hour, our conversation with Mark Vital. And some of the insight he gave us behind the scenes was fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. If you're a Baylor fan of any shape or form or size or whatever, if you're just a Baylor fan, then I'm sure you probably love Mark Vital, and you will love that interview. And it's 4:44, and we have heard nothing. So I think it's safe to say that unless the NCAA's got some big surprise in store, we're going to continue waiting.
Tried to tell you yesterday the 24-hour notice from the NCAA for Baylor. It came and went. And even as of this morning, about 5:30, still hadn't happened. So that's interesting, but we'll see. Again, the sooner the better. We're now joined by Danny Servance. He's the head coach at Ellison High School. I had a chance to visit with Danny for just a second or two earlier today. Baylor alum, played football at Baylor, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. So yesterday we were going to have you on the show, but you let your principal trump us, Danny. What in the world? What happened there now?
I know. Where are my priorities?
You gotta stick with the boss, Danny. That's a smart move.
We let you go because, and then you tried to call us back, and we were close to the end. But we let you do that because we didn't want you to have a one-day tenure as the head coach at Ellison High School. So what does this mean? I know that things weren't really all that great at Odessa. It didn't work out there. How do you feel like this is a new, fresh breath of fresh air for your career?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really excited about the opportunity. I can't wait to get on the ground and get things going. Of course, I'm not going to have a lot of time to do it. It's a late hire, and there's a lot of work to be done in a short amount of time. But I am really super excited about being at Killeen, Ellison, and just ready to get going.
How do you make up for not being able to be there for spring football?
Well, I think you have to do as much as you can in the summer. Thank God for the UIL and all the things that they put into place for COVID protocol. And, that allowing us to have an hour of work with our kids in the summer, and then strength and conditioning. And, then you start 2-a-days, and there wasn't a spring training. So you get an extra week to get things going. So we're going to have to be very efficient in what we do and try to cover as quickly as we possibly can without any error.
Coach, have you had an opportunity to kind of start getting to know people, meeting players, that kind of a deal? And if so, what you have been able to do? What has kind of been your impressions of just getting to know people?
I really haven't. I interviewed on Monday and got the call this week, and I was on my way back to Odessa. So I'm trying to get a house packed up here and hire movers. And next week I will be back in Killeen, and I will try to touch base with as many players and as many coaches that I possibly can.
How much does the new UIL rule, because of COVID and now even into this summer, you wanted to coach some more, and so you would have taken the opportunity, but how much did that come into play this late in the year to be able to do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a blessing, really, because it's going to help us tremendously, being that we didn't have spring ball and I haven't been on campus. It's really going to be an asset to us.
Danny Servance, head coach at Ellison, with us, the Eagles on SicEm365 Radio. Danny, we know the history. In fact, Killeen ISD has struggled, as you know. There's a lot of teams up and down. Used to be run by Ellison was a part of that. Of course, Killeen's had their run before, and Shoemaker lately has gotten better. But it's struggled. Harker Heights has had their run with Jerry, but it's not been at a high level. Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. From what I see, it's a tough district for one. And I don't know if they don't beat themselves up before they can, get out to play someone else, because it is a tough district looking at all the teams there. And maybe that's some of the problem is it's so tough that they beat themselves up before they can get into the postseason.
Danny, it being a military town, you've got some kind of move in and move out. Have you kind of started to kind of wrap your head around, the fact that some days it can be feast or famine when you're in an Army town like that?
Yeah, I really have. We even had a conversation the other day about filming with drones. Clearance you have to get in order to get okay to. Now that is something that I'm not used to, but I have kind of wrapped my mind around it a little bit, and I have been thinking about that. And I think for the most part, I think we are really fortunate to be there at Killeen, Ellison, and everything that comes along with that job. I'm ready to face.
Coach, you graduated from Baylor. You'll be just down the road. What's it like to be not quite in, but close to your college hometown?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. I get to take in a few Baylor games every now and then, but not a lot since I've graduated. I've got a daughter who's going to be a senior next year there at Baylor also.
Okay.
So I'm excited. I've got a daughter who's going to be the head girls basketball coach at Johnson there in Austin. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit closer to those girls and closer to Baylor. So there's a lot of pros.
Did we lose Coach, or is he?
Coach, can you hear us?
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry about that. Now, you also, where did you graduate from high school?
I went to Odessa Permian.
That's what I thought. And so coaching in Odessa, obviously a part of that. You were a part of, I think, a state championship back when Odessa Permian was kind of popping them out about every other 5 years or so, if not sooner. What was it like to be a part of that environment?
Incredible. There's no word for being a part of a program like that. I think it was one of the first of its kind, along with Brownwood, back in that day, and just incredible. The amount of success that we had, and the respect that the community had for players at Odessa Permian, and the support. The support was just, I don't know if there's much in high school football that matches up to the type of support we had there in high school.
Well, I'm going to ask you this, and I hope you don't mind me asking this. As a guy who played at Permian, at Mojo, and especially when you were there during some of their glory years, and then you were an assistant coach there for over a decade as well, did Friday Night Lights hurt Permian football or not?
I don't think it did. I think it may have shed some light on some things that are not so pretty, but I don't think it hurt Permian football. I think really it seems like everybody else in the district just really caught up as far as what they were doing, as far as the off season is concerned, and the type of schemes that coaches were using. A lot of times Permian wasn't as big as a lot of other teams, mm-hmm. but their execution, their mental toughness, their not making mistakes on the football field allowed them to win a lot of games that they weren't supposed to. And so I think everybody else just really caught up as far as that type of football is concerned. And so when you playing people who are not making mental mistakes and they're bigger than you and they're just as disciplined as you, then that balances the field quite a bit.
Okay, so you were at Permian. Back then, it was Permian, it was Plano, and maybe 3 or 4 others that ran high school football. And there was Judson obviously started their run about the time you were at Permian as well. What was it like? Because things have changed. What was it like knowing whatever was on your jersey, Mojo, whatever? What was it like knowing that was worth maybe 10 points before the game or 20 points before the game even started?
I don't know if we even really thought about that. You know, we just had the mindset that we couldn't be beat.
Mm-hmm.
We never went into a game thinking, you know, what if we lose, or, you know, we're going to lose the football game. That never crossed our mind. It was almost like we're here to take care of business, and that was it, you know. And if you did anything less than that, the accountability is what I think really pushed guys to play above and beyond what they really usually have to offer is the accountability, because so many had come before you who had paid the price and who had played great football there. And, you know, like I said, you just didn't want to let those guys down, the community down, your coaches down. And, you know, in a town like that, you don't want to let your pastor down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, just all types of things like that.
You tied Beaumont French, and I know it's about Ellison, but I love the history of Permian. You tied them 21-21. That can't happen anymore. What was that like?
You know, that didn't fit well with us. I still remember a picture of me crying after the game.
Wow.
And my linebacker coach with his arm around my neck. We tied, you know, and everybody else was like, "What are you crying for?" And I'm like, "Man, we're not supposed to tie. We're supposed to win the football game." And, you know, that was something that I'll never forget. Great experience playing in those state championship games, playing in back-to-back state championship games. That second one, my senior year, didn't come out nearly like the one did my junior year, but great experience playing in those football games.
So what's your first message to the players at Ellison?
My first message is that we want to put a product on the field that the community, parents, the school can be proud of. That's the main goal, is to do that. They're getting a football coach who's passionate about kids, who feel like our goal is to win football games, but my purpose is to impact kids' lives in a positive way and to add value to those kids' lives.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, when you're opening up your season for Ellison, Permian is actually playing midway in Waco that first weekend. They were supposed to play last year, and of course the game was canceled or postponed because of COVID. But Danny, it's great talking to you. And I didn't even know initially when the story came out about your Baylor connection, so that's awesome. It's fantastic. You got a daughter going there, so you'll be able to be closer to her and also have a chance to help Ellison maybe get to the next level. Thanks for your time. Enjoy it. Careful packing up that house. I know that's got to be tedious as hell.
It is, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we'll get to talk more.
Yes, sir. We will. That's Danny Servance, head coach at Ellison High School. How
he
about
needs
playing
to read
for Permian?
Marie